The time by Caracas is 6 p.m. and this is CBX Business News. The business news headlines are brought to you by QMax Wealth Management, making more possible. A digital resilience push, new anti-fraud banking technology, and U.S. producer prices surge. Good evening and welcome to CBX Business News for Wednesday, May 13, 2026. I'm Rashel Moncrieffe. Thanks for joining us. Coming up, Jamaica's government pushes to strengthen digital resilience across the public sector, aimed at improving crisis response and service continuity. Also ahead, Visa rolls out tap-based verification technology designed to reduce banking fraud and improve digital security. And later, core U.S. producer prices record their biggest increase since 2022, adding to concerns about underlying inflation pressures. Stay with us as we unpack these stories and more right after the break.
Caribbean flavors and fragrances. It started out as a small family-owned business, and now we're a part of a large group of companies. Being listed on the stock exchange allows us a certain prestige. It also speaks to accountability and transparency. We had some fears about getting our information in the public domain, but once we contacted the Jamaica Stock Exchange, who have the knowledge and the experience to guide us, we were comfortable with getting into the process. If you have any doubts about being listed, just give the Jamaica Stock Exchange a call. They'll be very happy to take you through the process and also provide you with information that you may need. Make that call now.
The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean flavors and fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments. Welcome back to CBX Business News. We begin with the government's latest drive to modernize Jamaica's public sector. The Jamaican government says it is accelerating efforts to build a more resilient and digitally connected public sector as it prepares state institutions to operate during crises, major disruptions, and rising service demands. Speaking at the GOJ Service Excellence Conference earlier today, Finance Minister Favour Williams says Jamaica has entered what she described as a decisive stage in public sector transformation, where government systems must now be designed not only for efficiency, but for continuity under pressure.
Improving service delivery is essential. It is the difference between stability and uncertainty, between confidence and frustration, and ultimately between trust and doubt in public institutions. Business continuity must be a priority for all public sector entities. And business continuity, because sometimes we say these phrases and we need to break them down, it is the capability of an organization to maintain or quickly resume essential functions and deliver products or services at acceptable levels during and after a disruption.
Williams says the country's long-term goal is a modern government structure that anticipates the needs of Jamaicans and delivers convenience, speed, and reliability at a much higher standard.
Greatness is you getting a message on your phone that says, we note that your ID is going to expire next week or whatever the date is, right? And, oh, by the way, here is your electronic ID. And you haven't even gotten out of bed yet. So that's where we'd like to get to, where the customers or Jamaicans feel somebody is acting in my best interest.
That was Jamaica's Finance Minister Favour Williams. Jamaica is heading towards a demographic turning point that could reshape the country's healthcare system, labor force, and long-term economic outlook over the next decade. The warning came from Health and Wellness Minister Dr. Christopher Tufton during his contribution to the 2026-27 sectoral debate on Tuesday, where he revealed that Jamaica's population is expanding faster than the country's birth rate.
We have approximately 375,000 Jamaicans 60 years and over. That number is expected to grow to 400,000 by 2030 and is growing at a faster rate than birth rate and other age categories. The truth is, we are experiencing a demographic shift, Madam Speaker, a demographic shift that is going to require significant more attention for persons who are 60 years and over.
Tufton also argued that a rapidly aging population, coupled with falling fertility levels, could eventually reduce domestic economic activity and place greater pressure on working Jamaicans.
Jamaica's total fertility rate has fallen to some 1.3 child per woman, below the 2.1 replacement rate. This has several implications apart from the economic issues around workforce. Social support system are compromised. Consequences include aging population, rising dependency, reduced domestic economic activity, shrinking human capital. Madam Speaker, the evidence is suggesting that no single intervention reverses declining fertility. And I know that I've been accused of telling people to go and have children. But that's not really what I said. I may be encouraging it, but there are conditions.
That was Jamaica's Health Minister, Dr. Christopher Tufton. In corporate restructuring news this evening, RJR Gleaner Communications Group is moving to consolidate operations at its Lyndhurst Road headquarters following the sale of its historic North Street property in downtown Kingston. In a release on Tuesday, Radio Jamaica Limited, which trades as the RJR Gleaner Communications Group, announced that it has entered into a binding agreement with the LP Azhar Limited for the sale of the property located at 7 North Street, along with adjacent lots and parking areas. The media conglomerate says the transaction is aimed at optimizing its operational footprint and improving efficiency across commercial operations. The company says proceeds from the sale will support the continued consolidation of operations at its Lyndhurst Road campus, while allowing management to focus resources on its core print, digital, and broadcast businesses. Staff currently based at the North Street location are expected to be relocated to the Lyndhurst Road facilities. Meanwhile, RJR Gleaner says the deal remains subject to customary closing conditions and is expected to be completed within 45 days. And in other news, Sagicor Group Jamaica is strengthening its standing in Jamaica's capital market after earning the Jamaica Stock Exchange's highest tier AA corporate governance rating. The conglomerate secured a score of 95.5 in the JSE's 2024-25 Corporate Governance Index assessment, placing it among the market's top governance performers. The assessment reviewed 99 listed companies, with the average company receiving a significantly lower CC rating. President and Chief Executive Officer of Sagicor Group Jamaica, Christopher Zaka, says the ranking reflects years of deliberate improvements in governance standards and public reporting. Chairman Peter Melado says the result demonstrates the company's commitment to maintaining strong leadership standards and accountability practices as investor scrutiny intensifies across regional capital markets. We move to the latest updates from the JSE equities. In Wednesday's trading session, the JSE market activity resulted in the trading of 105 stocks, of which 33 advanced, 45 declined, and 27 traded firm. Leading the winners are Image Plus Consultants, Blue Power Group, First Rock Real Estate Investments, and Innovative Energy Group, while leading the losers are KLE Group, Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, Cargo Handlers, and Caribbean Assurance Brokers. The main index declined by 33.99 points to close at 347,975.67 points. The junior market index also declined, but by 23.55 points to close at 3,111.85 points. It's time for the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. In today's Market Education feature, we're looking at escrow. Escrow is a legal arrangement where a neutral third party temporarily holds funds or assets on behalf of two parties until all conditions of a transaction are met. It acts as a safeguard by ensuring that money or property is only released once both sides fulfill their contractual obligations. Escrow is commonly used in real estate transactions, online purchases, and certain financial market activities to help protect both buyers and sellers throughout the transaction process. That was the Market Education feature, brought to you by CARICRIS, Regional Ratings, Global Standards. And that's it for the local news segment. Please stay with us. The regional news is up next. The local news is brought to you by Derrimon Trading, better from the start. The Development Bank of Jamaica, facilitating economic growth and development. Caribbean Flavors and Fragrances, tease the senses, and Pulse Investments.
Has so much book you need for high school?
I'll show you how to make sure you have all the money for my books and even some extra. It's called budgeting, Dad. Making a budget is the most important thing you can do to track your money. It keeps a record of how much you make, how much you spend, where you spend it, and most importantly, how much you can save. Write down all your income, write down all your expenses, see where you can cut down and allot more money to more important things, like saving.
It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Feeling so good right now. Yeah, yeah. It's feeling so good right now. Don't never, ever, ever wanna calm down. Oh, no, no. Yeah, yeah.
Welcome back to CBX Business News. Continuing with the regional news. The digital banking experience in the Caribbean could be on the verge of a major shift. Visa has introduced a new tap-based security technology that could reshape how Caribbean consumers verify their identity and activate bank cards. The company on Monday announced the first ever deployment of its Tap to Confirm and Tap to Activate technology for issuing banks, in partnership with fintech firm Keno and Fidelity Bank Bahamas. The launch comes as financial institutions face growing pressure to reduce fraud, improve digital security, and streamline customer onboarding. The technology allows cardholders to verify their identity or activate a new card by tapping their physical Visa card to a smartphone inside their banking app, reducing the need for passwords, text message codes, or call center assistance. Visa says the system uses the secure chip already built into payment cards, the same technology used for chip-based purchases, to strengthen security while speeding up digital banking services. The company says the technology could also help banks lower fraud risks, reduce call center costs, and decrease dependence on one-time passcodes, which have become increasingly targeted by scammers. Meanwhile, St. Lucia is betting big on events tourism as it looks to expand visitor spending beyond the traditional vacation model. Tourism Minister Dr. Ernest Hilaire says the country is positioning itself as the Caribbean's premier festival and events destination. Speaking during Monday's pre-cabinet press briefing, Minister Hilaire says the recent St. Lucia Jazz and Arts Festival once again highlighted the economic value of large-scale events. He notes the government is now expanding its focus to include carnival, sports tourism, conferences, Creole heritage activities, and creative industry showcases.
So first and foremost, that's what it is about, in terms of St. Lucia's international exposure. It also helps us a lot in terms of the positioning of St. Lucia as an events festival destination, a premium events destination, and not just jazz, carnival, Creole Heritage Month, the hosting of what you call MICE, the meetings, incentives, and conferences.
Hilaire says government is also pursuing major infrastructure projects, including a planned 2,000-seat conference facility and expanded hotel development in the south of the island.
We are making a big pitch in the next 2 years, because once Isla builds its conference center, which will be a 2,000-seater, an ultra-modern facility, that will take us to a different level. The hotel at Shabusha, the Grand Hyatt, was supposed to also bring to the south, and hopefully it will get underway, is going to add to St. Lucia's capacity for hosting of conferences. So the positioning of St. Lucia, both one as a marketing tool, but also positioning St. Lucia, the Jazz Festival, is part of that suite of activities that we have. We're going to make St. Lucia the premier events destination in the Caribbean. And we've repeatedly seen our Jazz Festival in the top tier of festivals in the region, and some would say even internationally.
At the same time, St. Lucia is also challenging how the region measures tourism success. Tourism Minister Dr. Ernest Hilaire says Caribbean countries should place greater emphasis on visitor spending and economic impact rather than arrival numbers alone. Hilaire argues that governments must pay closer attention to how tourism revenues circulate through local communities.
I would never want to be measured by tourism arrival numbers. I'd rather be judged in terms of the work of the government by the impact that the arrival have in the country.
He says the expansion of home accommodation and community-based tourism has made it even more important to track how visitor dollars flow through the wider economy.
We have to be able to measure it. You have to measure the impact of home accommodation in this country. There are about 3,000 rooms in St. Lucia, and our own data shows there's significant increase in visitor spend in home accommodation for all the communities in St. Lucia. And we have to measure that, we have to account for that. So you're right, we have to find, but the appropriate way of measuring the full impact of the tourism industry, let's put it that way.
That was St. Lucia's Tourism Minister, Dr. Ernest Hilaire. And in the Cayman Islands, the labor market continues to outperform much of the region. The territory recorded an unemployment rate of just 2.6% in December 2025, up from 2.4% a year earlier, representing one of the lowest levels in the Caribbean. The Cayman Islands Economics and Statistics Office says while the rate was slightly higher than the previous year, it remained well below the regional average of 7.2% reported by CIBC Caribbean. The Economics and Statistics Office says unemployment among Caymanians fell to 4.1% from 4.6% in 2024, while the number of employed Caymanians rose by more than 13% to over 24,000 people. The office also reported the labor force also expanded to nearly 65,000 people, with more than 63,000 individuals employed. The office also notes that the population now stands at 90,000 residents, recorded at the end of 2025. It's now time for news from the Trinidad and Tobago Stock Exchange. Overall market activity resulted from trading in 19 securities, of which 8 advanced, 5 declined, and 6 traded firm. Today's winners are Trinidad and Tobago NGL, JMMB Group, First Citizens Group Financial Holdings, and Grace Kennedy, while leading the losers are Endeavour Holdings, the West Indian Tobacco Company, National Enterprises, and A.S. Bryden & Sons Holdings. Trading activity resulted in the following movements. The All-TNT Index advanced by 2.39 points to close at 1,415.66. The Composite Index also advanced by 1.05 points to close at 983.93. The Cross-Listed Index, however, declined 0.06 points to close at 73.06. And the SME Index also declined, but by 7.94 points to close at 81.87. And we take a short break, but please do stay with us. The international news segment is up next.
This project marks the celebration of our 30th Hall of Fame and aims to highlight the achievements, challenges, and invaluable lessons of those who have shaped and are shaping the future of our economy. Our aim is to celebrate the voices and stories of 30 remarkable leaders in Jamaica's private sector. Join us as we explore these narratives of resilience, leadership, and vision.
Caribbean dreams, instant turmeric tea. What you put in is what you get out. What you put in is what you get out. Yeah. Build up your body, boost up your brain. Take on the world now. Say bye-bye pain. Caribbean dreams, instant turmeric tea. Be good to you. Caribbean dreams, instant turmeric tea. Distributed by Amalgamated Distributors Limited.
Welcome back. On the international scene, core producer prices in the United States surged 1% month over month in April 2026, recording the largest monthly increase since March 2022 and adding fresh concerns about persistent inflationary pressure across the economy. The increase followed an upwardly revised 0.2% rise in March and came in significantly above market expectations for a 0.3% gain. Prices for final demand goods, excluding food and energy, rose 0.7%, accelerating from a 0.3% increase the previous month, while services prices jumped 1.2% after a modest 0.2% increase in March. On an annual basis, core producer prices climbed 5.2% in April, up from 4% in March and exceeding forecast of a 4.3% increase. Meanwhile, concerns surrounding inflation and political uncertainty are also intensifying pressure across European financial markets. UK 10-year gilt yields climbed back above 5.1%, moving closer to a recent 18-year high amid mounting political uncertainty inside the British government and rising global energy prices. The move followed reports suggesting Health Secretary Wes Streeting is preparing to launch a leadership challenge against Prime Minister Keir Starmer, reversing earlier gains in the bond market. Starmer has insisted he intends to remain in office even as pressure grows within the Labour Party following disappointing local election results. At the same time, stalled US-Iran negotiations and the continued closure of the Strait of Hormuz have supported higher oil prices, adding to broader inflation concerns. Markets are now pricing in roughly 3 additional interest rate hikes from the Bank of England before the end of the year. And in the Gulf region, India and the United Arab Emirates are also deepening efforts to strengthen trade and financial cooperation. India and the United Arab Emirates, UAE, are continuing discussions aimed at expanding trade and financial cooperation, with Indian officials confirming that the possibility of conducting trade settlements in rupees remains under consideration. Speaking during a weekly media briefing on Wednesday, official spokesperson for India's Ministry of External Affairs, Randhir Jaiswal, described the UAE as one of India's largest export destinations and an increasingly important strategic economic partner in the Gulf region.
It is the third largest export partner for us. We have over $100 billion of trade now with UAE. We have close collaboration on fintech, on UPI, and several other aspects of finance as well.
That was the official spokesperson of the Ministry of External Affairs of India, Randhir Jaiswal. And that's it for the international segment of the newscast. The news recap is coming up on the other side of the break.
Mikey, is what sweet you saw?
Yeah, dear babes. Where's the Cathy? Yeah, you go party tonight.
Party? You secure your future yet? Careless.
Did you know that over time the stock market has provided a reliably high return on investments? Be sure to contact a licensed stockbroker for more information on this exciting investment opportunity.
Taking care of business, Mikey?
Yeah, Cathy. I'm securing my future. Want to come look over my stock portfolio?
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
We get it! We get the big contract! 50,000 units a month for 3 years! Great! We'll need help.
If you are a business owner that requires capital for the expansion of your business, talk to a registered broker today to find out more about listing your company on the Jamaica Stock Exchange, an efficient alternative to other financing options.
Thank God for the Jamaica Stock Exchange Junior Market.
The Jamaica Stock Exchange, providing a fair, efficient, and transparent stock market.
And Now to recap our top stories. In the local news, Jamaica's government pushes digital resilience across public sector. Regionally, Visa rolls out tap verification tech to cut banking fraud. And internationally, U.S. core producer prices post biggest jump since 2022. Those were the stories making today's CBX Evening News. On behalf of the entire production team, I'm Rashel Moncrieffe. Thanks for watching CBX, your region, your business, your source.